Alright, hello everybody. Today we're going to be working on pre-writing strategies. What is pre-writing? It's those times when I say, hey, everybody pull out a pencil and just write for 5 minutes. Give me any ideas that you have, write it all down. So this, we're going to do a little more focused. This is going to be acting as if you guys are pre-writing for a paper that you're going to write. It's practicing putting your ideas down onto paper and just seeing where to go from there. Seeing what you have, seeing what you need, organizing all of your thoughts. So the first thing we're going to talk about is graphic organizers. Obviously you can use outlines, you can write it down, you can just free note it. I really like to use graphic organizers to help organize. So the first one we're going to look at is this bubble graphic organizer. I happened to make mine about graphic organizers because, hey, that made sense for this lesson. So the first thing graphic organizers do is that they help you. They are not meant to be difficult, they're not meant to be challenging, they're just meant to help you. So you can make it in any format. This structure can change, especially for this bubble graphic organizers. You can do it downwards. You can have multiple bubbles. This bubble in the middle can be about a character, a theme, a motivation, an idea, anything you want. I did mine about graphic organizers, and I just have little things about graphic organizers, ideas that I have in my head about them. So it's there to help you, not be a hindrance. It's not supposed to be harder for you. It also helps you focus. You get one idea or two ideas, and you have to zoom in on that idea. You can't sporadically think anymore. It really helps you, especially when you're preparing to write an essay, put those thoughts onto paper in an organized manner. It's also individualized. Like I said, you can change the format, you can change the bubbles, you can change how you make it, you can change what you put in it. So it's all very much up to you. Organize. Obviously, my lesson today, I did something to organize it. I put this on here, I'm reading from here to here, I have my ideas, I have my thoughts down, so I'm organizing my graphic organizer. It's there to help you organize your thoughts and organize your paper. It really is meant to get your thoughts down. As I said from the beginning, we're working on pre-writing. What do you do before you sit down to write the essay? You think, you write, you get your ideas down. So this is my particular favorite graphic organizer, but obviously there are others. This one up here is your typical first and second grade graphic organizer. It's called the Foursquare method. You guys have probably used it, usually with pictures in the lower grades. It can be used with words in the higher grades. So we have the beginning, the middle idea, conclusion. This is better if you're trying to write a story or a narrative than an essay, whereas this one will help you write an essay because you can pick a theme. This one is really good for deciding what parts of stories you want to include and where to include them. It's also good for analyzing stories, so don't forget about this one even though it's not great for the thing we're doing today. It's super important and will be really helpful when we start writing our own stories and starting to analyze other stories for their big moments. So another step beyond that in storylines, or in talking about stories, is the storyline method. So in the storyline, there's 5 main components. You have the beginning of the story. Obviously, every story you've seen, there's introduction. You find out who the characters are, what they're doing. That's kind of what the beginning is. Then the rising action. Something happens that's going to start triggering this big climax, which is the next one. So rising action, something exciting starts to happen, and then the climax happens. Then you have the falling action. What happens after the climax? What do characters do? What do the narrators say? What does the author think? What is the point? And then you have the conclusion. What did we learn from all of this? What ended up happening? What was the big deal? So, in order to use these, you have to be able to know the difference between them and what they're good for. So like I said, these graphic organizers are definitely more helpful for writing essays, putting your thoughts on paper, getting your ideas down. These types are better for stories. Not to say that they're not helpful. You could easily do this as a 5-paragraph essay. What do I have in my introduction? What do I have in paragraph 1? What about paragraph 2, or paragraph 1, paragraph 2? What about paragraph 3, the big middle sections? What about 4 and 5? So there's different ways you can adapt graphic organizers, which is why I really like them as a pre-writing activity for us. So now I'm going to show you a couple of graphic organizers that I made about 2 stories that I know you've heard of, just so you guys can kind of get an idea of how you can use these to help you. Okay, so the first graphic organizer that I showed you, remember, was that bubble graphic organizer. Here I did one about the story Cinderella, which I know that you guys have all read, heard of, seen 1,000 times. So what did I make my graphic organizer about? Well, I decided to put the character in the middle. I decided I was going to start with Cinderella, my main character. I then moved on to themes, which you see on the right-hand side. What are some big themes in this story? Well, I thought loss, pain, hope, perseverance, will, happy endings. I thought those were all pretty important in the story. Then I moved on to traits. What do I know about Cinderella? Why is she important? Well, she's kind, she's meek, she's quiet, she's pretty, she's loving, she's a princess. Then the next bubble on the left bottom, I wanted to know, what's the story with Cinderella? What is the whole point of this? Well, she lost her mother, she has an evil stepmother, 2 stepsisters, she goes to a ball, she meets a prince, she loses her slipper, she finds her slipper, happy ending. Obviously a loose translation, but nonetheless it'll work. Right above that, we see characters. Well, there's a lot of them in this story, so I wanted to have them all on paper. Cinderella, the prince, etc., etc. The next thing I did was conflicts. What are the big problems in the story? Well, how does she get to the ball? How does she ignore her stepmother? How do we find the match to the slipper? So as you can see, you can do this with just about any story in just about any way. You can make this bubbles on whatever you want, however you want to do it. So it's pretty cool. The next one that I showed you was that storyline one. This one is about the 3 little pigs. So what happens at the beginning? Well, the pigs build their houses, 1 brick, 1 straw, 1 sticks, and then the wolf shows up. Oh man, the rising action. The wolf begs to be let in the houses. He blows down the straw and stick house. And then what happens? Well, he gets to the brick house and can't blow it down. What happens then? The wolf is sad and he has to leave. Oh, poor wolf. And then we have the conclusion. The wolf is allowed to leave because the pigs decide to build better houses. So what does that mean? Look at that one. We start at the beginning of the story. So if I was going to write a story, I might think, well, the beginning of the 3 little pigs started like this. How do I make my beginning like theirs? So once again, really helpful. Now tonight, I would like you guys to try to make your own graphic organizer for an essay about what I have to say about blank. This means I'm giving you a ton of freedom. So you can make it like this Cinderella one in bubbles and put what I have to say about blank, whatever you choose blank to be, you can put it in the middle. Or you can choose what I have to say about blank and try to make it work into this storyline method. Whoever you guys like to do, I would like you to try it tonight. Thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow.